I was back at one of my favourite places to thrift this weekend, Dagfields Craft Centre near me. There's usually a fair amount of tap, but also some real treasures can be found as well if you know where to look. They've got some new shops actually as well, including this aquarium where there was some beautiful fish like this one. I found a ukulele banjo that I was quite interested in. It needed some TLC, so I left it for this time. As well as this absolutely gigantic rocking horse, which was full size, I reckon. If you're a Star Wars fan, it was a good place to look round. There was some really nice figures and collectibles from Star Wars, new and old. And my wife Lucy here is really into these miniature craft sets that you can get. And there was some ingenious ones that you could create that had these motorised, a bit like those old those old exhibits you used to see by the seafront. Really clever, fun to put together, to assemble. This is the kind of thing that my wife makes, and they're always stunning to look at, these little miniature worlds. Boom, boom. It's my Basil Brush impression. There were some nice dinky toys. Not seen this one before. It's called a Marlin Rambler. I've never even heard of that car before, but a nice looking thing in racing green. I think these are from like probably the 1950s. And one of my favourite James Bond cars from The Spy Who Loved Me there. An old projector said that it wasn't tested, which usually translates that it's not working, or they have tested it and it doesn't work. But yeah, nice to see here, as well as these books that I'm sure I had most of these when I was a kid. These Ladybird read it yourself books. So nostalgic looking through some of these. Not so nostalgic are these kind of knockoff stereos that are made to look like they're old, but you could see there was a CD drive there, a bit tacky. I always find those kind of remake ones. There was a 360 and a drive-in steering wheel there as well as the Tamagotchi, which was synonymous with the early noughties. As well as these terrifying, what looked like Zelda enemies to me. You can just imagine taking this on as a end of level boss on Zelda. There were a few PS2 games and some cassettes as well that I was interested in. Didn't pick up any this time, but there were a nice selection there. Really nice gramophone here that I flirted with I've always flirted with getting one of these because they are beautiful objects. It only had one speed, of course, 78, but it had like a slow and fast. I don't know if that was like a pitch shifter. And what do you buy someone who's got everything? Why, yeah, Kevin Keegan's ceremonial plate, of course. How very alarming. This was a fun room full of signs and other trinkets that you could have in your man cave. Really liked this Pac-Man feature. And this Super Mario lamp was really cool as well. Holding all these things. Who doesn't love a signed Deirdre Barlow picture? Ugh. Try not to have nightmares. Paint. Are you my mummy? And then just as I'd kind of given up on retro games, there were an absolute stack of C64 and Amstrad games and Spectrum games on tape. I've recently been donated a C64, so I was really chuffed to find some really cool games here. I did actually pick up one, which I'll show you in a bit. Really nice selection. And here's what I think is a Sega Master System light gun with a visor that you could use as well. Never seen one of those, and a reel-to-reel player. I've always wanted one of them as well. A bit too expensive for me at this point. Some more C64 games. In big boxes as well as small tapes. This is a weird Microsoft controller. I've never seen this, and no idea what it's for, whether it's just for a PC. And a myriad of different joysticks. With some Master System in-box games. This light gun for the Sinclair Spectrum, I believe. And then there were a few Amstrad CPC games. Don't think I've ever seen them out in the wild before, so it was really cool to see those. I don't have an Amstrad CPC, that's one of my holy grail consoles for a later date, but it was nice to see such a variety here of CPC games, something you don't see very often, if at all. And then around the corner, there was some consoles for sale. They all seem to be around the £100 mark. There was an N64 there, a Game Boy Color. There was a GameCube, all £100. I don't think they knew how much they were worth, so they just put the same on each. And this much more expensive RF antenna for the Sega Master System or Megadrive, I think. And then to finish off, I went looking around one of my favourite shops in Dagfields, where they have a wonderful selection of different 45s, 35s, and as you can see here, 78s. So that's it for another trip to Dagfields. This is what I picked up, Horace Goes Skiing, one of my favourite games on the C64. Thanks very much for watching, and see you again next time.